Good evening, Rinpoche.
Hello. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so yeah, nice to see you all. Okay, so now today so I will keep the continue of the philosophy of Tantra, or philosophy of the Vajrayana. Now we'll talk about that the highest yoga tantra. As I mentioned the last time, they are the four stages of the Vajrayana. So among the four stages, highest yoga tantra is the most, the most famous, and most of the. So most of the who want to practice the Vajrayana, most of them will go and start the practice of the highest yoga tantra, because that if you look at especially the Tibetan Buddhism, so in the Tibetan Buddhism, highest yoga tantra is the most popular. There might be the many reasons, but the most simple reason is very easy, and it's like a shortcut to the Buddhahood. So it says that if you are practicing the highest yoga tantra in this life, you can achieve the Buddhahood. So that's why the many people like the highest yoga tantra. Even that if you are not that good practitioner, still that you can achieve the Buddhahood within the 16 life. You can become the Buddha, achieve the Buddhahood, even you didn't practice that much. So in the highest yoga tantra. So that's why the many people like the highest yoga tantra. So because it's a shortcut to Buddhahood. So now I'll come to the back point to the highest yoga tantra. When you look at the highest yoga tantra practice, yeah, you can see there is mainly two category of the practice of the highest yoga tantra. Two category. So the one it's called as the generating the stage, and one is the completion stage. They are the two category of the practice. Yeah, whenever you start with the practicing the highest yoga tantra, your practice should come into these two category, what we call the generating the stage or completion stage. Okay, accomplishments. Okay, what we call the completion task. No, that is completion. Okay, completion stage and generating the stage. They are the two. The category of the practice. So now the first is when you have to start the practice from the generating the stage practice. Generating the stage, they are the three main practice come into the generating the stage. Three main practice. The first practice is called transforming. Transforming the first, in the generating stage, there are the three main practices. Okay, the first practice it calls that transforming that into Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is they are the three different body of the Buddha. One's called the Dharmakaya. At the simple way, just you can very simple way, very simple language. Yeah, you can think like that. Okay, transforming that into the Buddhahood. Okay, now that means that what does that mean is that normally when the people die, they die, then they will born again. they will live, they will die. We are born, okay? We are born, then we will live, then we will die. So that's when the born, live, die. We will repeat that again and again. When you're repeating that again and again, that's called the samsara. Samsara means generally, it means a circle, no? Or maybe cyclic existence. It's a circle. So what you're repeating again and again, say, you're born, you live, you die, you repeat it again. So that's called the samsara, or that's called as a cyclic existence. So now here you have to break that repetition. To breaking that repetition, what it's called is the transforming your death into the Buddhahood. So that means after the death, you will not born again back to this samsara. If you want to, you can. But if you don't want to, you can go somewhere, maybe and just watch. Okay, so that's why it's a breaking that the repetition. So that's called the transforming your death into the Dharmakaya, into the Buddhahood. Okay, now things like that. Okay, things like that. Normally, when the person die, So here it's a quite important to understand that process. So that process is that normally when we lost our breath, when the brain function that completely stops, no? When the brain function that completely stops, or heart function that stops, no? When the brain function stops and the heart function stops, clinically they might declare as a death, no? When the heart is functioning, but the brain is not functioning, so that state might call the coma or whatever, okay? But my point is when your heart function has stopped, and when your brain function has stopped, clinically they will declare it's a death, no? From the Buddhism point of view, especially the Vajrayana point of view, you are not fully dead. Still, they are the sum of your consciousness. Still, it have not stopped the activities, or it's your consciousness is active. Not the gross consciousness, but the subtle consciousness, it is still active. So your subtle consciousness is still functioning. So that's why if you look at go to the search engine, and you might see that a lot of the news about the meditating in the state of the dead state meditation. No, lots of the practitioners, they meditate after the death, and the state of death that a lot of practitioners they meditate. So that is the one. What actually that is the state when they are meditating, is that state that clinically the doctors that declare they are the died, but still still they carries the consciousness, some activities, or still the consciousness is functioning, the subtle consciousness is functioning. So that's why the body won't get decay, and still the person sometimes even they can see that the heart rate might be very low, but the very minor heart rate, or some of the wave of the brain waves or like that, this is happening. Still the research is going on. So yeah, so now I will come back to the Vajrayana point of view. So Vajrayana point of view, what we are saying is that at the state of the death, the person will generate the clear light consciousness. Clear light consciousness is such a consciousness, very subtle consciousness. So at the person when he was dying, the moment the person lost the breath, and maybe clinically when they declared the person he or she was died, but the person will feel, person can see, not on eye, through the mental consciousness, the person will be experience of the saying, the white light, then the red light. Then person will see like a total, like a darkness. It's like a black light or black ray, total the darkness. After that, the person will pass out. Then he will gain back the consciousness, and the moment that he will have the clear light consciousness. When saying that when the persons have generated the clear light consciousness in the state of the death, the person will experience seeing like a very early morning dawn, no? When the early morning dawn. Yeah. So that is the experience the person will have when he or she generate the clear light consciousness in the state of the death. So that clear light consciousness is a very powerful consciousness. That clear light consciousness if you can use that clear light consciousness to realize the emptiness, that moment, then you can liberate the self from the samsara. So that is a calling, that's saying the transforming the death into the Dharmakaya, transforming the death into the Dharmakaya. Okay, that is the one main point of the highest yoga tantra practice. That okay, and transforming. Okay, so now one thing is that okay, as I have talked the last time about the Pardo intermediate state. Now, normally the person after the death, they will born into the state called the intermediate state, that the Pardo state for the 49 days. Then after that, they will take a rebirth. Again, they take the rebirth. That is the normally it happens to the old peoples. Okay, from old peoples it happens that. So so now here the Vajrayana, what we are saying is that okay, person that the person failed to transform the meditate at the state of the death. Now he already born into the Pardo state. Still that person can liberate he or she himself or herself from that intimate state. Okay, that intimate state, that called the transforming the Pardo, or transforming the intimate state into Sambodhakaya. Sambodhakaya means into the Buddhahood. Okay, so that is now the second transformation. Okay, the transforming the death into the Buddhahood, transforming the intimate state into the Buddhahood. Okay, so that is in the highest Vajrayana from practice point of view. The person, when they are already born into the intimate state, still they can practice and they can liberate from the Pardo state. Okay, liberating themselves. Okay, Pardo state. Now here that the one thing I want to explain, the one thing. So when the person is not dead, okay, when the person is alive, and that person can still liberate self from samsara before dying. That is the so that is the point. It explained into the second, that the stage, that what I call the completion stage. Okay, in the completion stage, it talks about that how we can liberate ourselves before we die within this life, how we can achieve the Buddhahood. Okay, So this comes into the later stage. Okay, now I'm talking about the as I mentioned, there are the two categories. No, I'm talking about the first category or the first stage. Okay, it called the first stage, the generating stage. Okay, in the generating stage, there are the three main factors. Okay, transforming your death into the Buddhahood, transforming your intimate state into the Buddhahood, transforming your birth into the Buddhahood. Okay, am I clear? Did you get confused or what? Because sometimes when we talk a little bit of the deep sides of the philosophy or the deep sides of the Vajrayana, so it makes sometimes quite difficult to people to understand it, but difficult to understand it. But if you listen again and again, I'm sure that you will get it, you will understand it. So you will understand it. So if right now, if you are not very clear, so maybe you can raise me the question. Okay, you can raise me a question, or you can listen again that the recording. Okay, listen again the recording. Okay, so yeah. So normally every of the I mean the philosophy, it is sometimes the philosophy, it is not that easy to understand. It's easy to understand. So that's why that they are saying that whenever you have a doubt and you ask the philosopher about that your doubt, that the philosopher will clear your doubt, but he will put the few more doubts in your mind. So they're saying that. So that's why sometimes when we talk about the philosophy, so sometimes that it will create the more doubts and the more confusions in your mind. That is how the philosophies. I mean, that is how the philosophy it works. No, so yeah. So so that's why whenever the two philosophers meet and talk each other, they have no common point to agree. Always they will debate each other. Only one point they can accept. Only one point they will accept mutually. They can accept the only one point. Rather than then mutually they cannot accept any point. They will always debate. Only one point both of they will accept. That is the disagreement between them, that they will both can have to accept it. So 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 now now back to the point. So that's why now in the highest yoga tantra, there is a two stage, no, or the two category or two stage. First stage is a generating stage, the second stage is the completion stage. In the generating stage, there are the three main, the factors. Okay, I will repeat it again. So, because why I'm repeating it again is that I was a teacher, so I was a philosopher teacher before so many years. Okay, so that's why I know that it's very important sometimes to repeat it again and again, so it makes you easier to understand it. So they're saying that even if it's a lie, if you repeat it 100 times, it will become a true. So that's what saying. So that's why if I repeat it again and again, I think it makes you easier to understand. Okay. So I'll repeat it again. Okay. So in the highest yoga tantra, there are two categories or the two stages. Number one is the generating stage. Number two is a completion stage. Okay, two stage. Okay, in the generating stage, there are the three main factors. Okay, three main factors. If I translate very literally, it will say that the transforming your death into the Dharmakaya. Second is transforming your intimate state, intermediate state or pardo into the Sambodhakaya, and the transforming the birth into the Nirmanakaya. So if I translate a very simple way, it's saying that transforming the death into the Buddhahood, transforming the Pardo state into the Buddhahood, transforming your birth into the Buddhahood. Okay, they are the three transformation. Okay, way of the three transformation. Okay, that comes into the generating stage practice. Okay, how do we have to practice is that the person, when he or she was dying, in the state of the he or she was dying, that person have to realize that the clear light consciousness, and that use that clear light consciousness to understand or to realize the emptiness at the state of the death. So that if that person fail at the state of the death, do that practice, and they will born into the pardo, the intermediate state of 49 days. That state they have to practice and elaborate from pardo state. If they still fail in the practice in the pardo state, they have to practice when they enters into the mother's womb, when they're taking the birth into the mother's womb, still they can practice and elaborate the cell from the samsara. Okay, these are the three transformation practice of the transformation comes into the first stage we call the generating stage. Okay, that's the three practices. Okay, so now we will, now I will come with the what actual the practice it. Okay, what actual practice is like that. Okay, first thing is that the transforming the death into the Buddhahood. That practice is first thing is that the importance of the understanding the death. Okay, that you have to understand the death. Understand the death means here the question comes that what is the death? What is the death? So that is just when our physical body and the consciousness, when our physical body and our consciousness get separated, no? When our physical body and our consciousness is our physical body and our consciousness having the no more relation, that state we call the death. Okay, that state is the death. When our physical consciousness, our physical body and our consciousness have separated. I mean, keeping the no relation at all. So that is a death. So that's why the death is at the state of the death. As I mentioned, that when we stop the breathing, we are not fully dead. When the heart stopped its functioning, we are not fully dead. Only when the consciousness left our body, so that means the death. So when our heart stopped the functioning, that moments that gross consciousness will not function. The subtle consciousness start to function. That subtle consciousness called the clear light consciousness. Okay, that the clear light consciousness can appear in the few occasions into our normal life. When you are falling asleep, when the gross consciousness started to deactivate, so then the clear light consciousness will start to activate. One occasion, like when you are falling asleep, you can see the clear example is that when you are having a dream, in the state of the dream, your consciousness is we call the very clear consciousness, because in the state of the dream, what you see and what you feel is so real. When you are having the nightmare, when you're sleeping and when you're having a nightmare, and when you see the tiger jumping on you, you will feel like it's very real. Even there's no tiger in your room, but you will see it's like real. You will feel it's very real. When you in the state of the dream, when you eat the good food, still you can feel the taste of the food, because of that consciousness is so clear. In the state of dream, the consciousness is so clear. So, so clear consciousness. So like that, in the state of the death, that will come one very clear light consciousness which appear in the state of the death. So that clear light consciousness, if you can realize the emptiness, you will liberate immediately, because that clear light consciousness is a very powerful consciousness, very clear and a very powerful consciousness. So that's why so it's saying that the liberating the self at the state of the death. Now here the one question, here the one question comes, that is it possible to generate the clear light consciousness before our death? Before our death, it is the possible or not? Okay, before our death, it is possible or not? So here come the, yeah, it is the very possible. So that's the Vajrayana. In the Vajrayana practice, it seems that it's a very possible. Vajrayana practice, it's saying that clear light consciousness, we can generate before our death through our practice. That is, practice is what practice, that what we have to carry, that it talks into the second stage, completion stage. It talks that how we can generate the clear light consciousness before we die. For that, okay, I will talk very briefly that to generate the clear light consciousness, what you have to do is you have to meditate, and you have to activate the settle the wind energy. Okay, settle the wind energy. To activating the settle wind energy is something like that. Okay, first that maybe you should think like that way. Okay, generally in our physical body, there are the 5 energy point. Okay, 5 energy point. One is come to the crown. We call the crown. There is a 1 energy point. Throat, we have the 1 energy point. Heart, we call the energy point, and the navel, we have the energy point, and the private part, there is the energy point. In Vajrayana, they use the term called the chakra. I think you have heard that word, the chakra. In our body, we have the 5 chakra. Normally, chakra means a wheel, but it means that energy point. Okay, 5 energy point in our body: crown, throat, heart. Heart means I'm in the center of our body. Okay, center of our body, center of the chest. Okay, heart, and the navel, and the private part. We have the 5 chakra. 5 chakra means a 5 energy point. Okay, through that energy point, these all 5 energy pointers are very connected. They are connected by the one we call the channel, center channel, connected by the center channel. Center channel is just thing like a straw. Okay, like a straw. Center channel, there is a straw or channel. It begins from our crown, and that channel goes straight up till our private part. That called the channel. Okay, center channel. Okay, that center channel will be the white center channel. That channel connects all the 5 energy point. Why we are saying this energy point is that from that 5 energy point, it absorbs the energy very easily, or it release the energy very easily. It may absorb the positive energy, or it may absorb the negative energy, or it will release our positive energy, also it release our negative energy. So that's why that I think you might all experience. Many people used to share with me that whenever they meditate, they will feel like a headache, or the warmness on the head, or the feeling. Some mostly they talk about head, something they feel it, because there is an energy point. So it affecting that energy point. So that's why they feel the warm. But when you feel warm or hot on your head, it does not mean that you have achieved some realization. So it is just like, it is the energy point. So it was activating that energy point. It's affecting on that energy point. Okay. So now the 5 energy point, they are connected with the center channel. Okay. The center channel, normally the central channel was surrounded by the 2 other channels. We call the right channel and the left channel. Mostly the central channel is not activated at all. When you can activate the central channel, then the clear light consciousness appear. Then comes. To that, you have to activate the central channel. Now, how to activate the central channel? That it comes into the stage of the that we talk in the accomplishment stage. Then it talks in the accomplishment stage. It talks about the channels. It talks about the chakras. It talks about the activating all the energies. Okay, so this comes into second stage that called the accomplishment stage. Okay. Okay, so maybe now I will leave for the maybe 10 minutes for the question answer session. If you have any questions, if you are not clear that today's any parts of what I taught, you can ask me.
Rinpoche, it's Ellen.
Yes.
I have a question.
Okay. Okay, sure. Yeah.
You said that some practitioners, even if they're not very good at practicing highest yoga tantra, can achieve enlightenment in one lifetime. But there are many practitioners that do practice highest yoga tantra, and some of us don't seem to be achieving enlightenment in this lifetime. How come then some do and some do not?
Okay, so things like that. Okay, very simple way. First thing is that you have to know the password. Then you have to not knowing the password is a one thing. Also, you have to type the password very rightly. That's 2 things are very important. Okay, so when you're having the whatever your emails or the whatever your account, so you need to know the password and type the password on the right place. That's the 2 that are very important. Okay, when you type the passwords where you have to type the email ID, then the password will not work. So that's why in the highest yoga tantra, there are the few passwords you have to know, the few days, a few password of highest yoga tantra. Okay, the number 1, the password, very important thing is the highest yoga tantra. We call the rules, and they call the 14 downfalls. Downfall is something like a commitments. That is a very important, the commitments. Okay, very important commitments. Because the thing is like that, the 14 downfall, once you are practicing not that much, still you care that very well of that commitments. That is like you are having the password. Okay, 14 downfall. Like an example, when you are practicing the highest yoga tantra, especially like a simple way, I will tell that it's a very important paying respect of the Dharma brothers and the sister. Okay, Dharma brother and the sister, there's something like okay, you all having the friends, or you are practicing all together the Vajrayana practices. Okay, that we call the Dharma brother and the sister. Respecting the Dharma brother and the sister is a very important a rule. Okay, so now you are trying to practice very well yourself, but you are not respecting. But you are criticizing the brothers and the sister unnecessarily. Okay, no, criticizing unnecessarily means if you have the responsibility and if you have the responsibility to tell their mistake, that is a totally different. No, just like unnecessarily criticizing or like that, also you are breaking the one of the rule of the Vajrayana. So like that, it will affect your practice. Even you are practicing the very hard, it will affect the practice. So this is like so as I mentioned the password. No, these are the password like a 14 downfall. You may search in the Google, you can find that now. 14 downfall. Okay, that is the one thing. Second thing is the Vajrayana, the practices. The second thing is a very important. So the second thing is the importance of the devotions or the faith to the masters and on the deity. That's a very important. But this is the very tricky point. Okay, tricky point is that the devotion and the faith to the master is When you don't see any mistakes of the master, then you can keep on the faith. When you see the mistakes of the master, then it will be totally different. Okay, mistake is what the mistake here is okay, things like that. Mistake means that when the master do some mistake against the Dharma, then it is not a right master. When the master is a very right, so then you need a very strong devotion of faith toward the master. Okay. Okay, thing is like that. Okay, it's what might be the mistake? It's from the mistake it's mentioned in the Dharma. Okay, like an example, I will give the one example. If your master likes to jump, okay, always he want to jump, but you don't like the jump. Okay, master is jumping every day. Okay, every day jumping. Okay, in his room or whatever outside, but person who don't like to see the jumping, they will consider that as a mistake, no? But that is the not mistake point of the view from the Dharma. Okay, so point of view of the Dharma. So in the Vajrayana, the master should not commit any mistake of the Dharma mistake. Okay, from the mistake, the point of view of the Dharma. So what the master, so that's why the second important thing is the having the faith and the devotion to the master and the deity. That is the one important point. Okay, second point. Okay, the third point is that every of the Vajrayana practice, it's a very important to the activating your channel. That's a third point, no, activating the channel. Because sometimes what happening is that the most of the Vajrayana practice, they will more go to the focusing on the reciting. That big mistake, everyone is making big mistake. Okay, recitation, just chanting the mantra, because recitation, it's a very easy, everyone can do that. No, reciting is a very easy. Why it's easy? When you're reciting the mantra, you can think whatever you want. No, you can think whatever you want. So practice and the activating the body channel, it's a more you have to focus, more difficult. So most of people who even say they want to practice, but they don't want to the difficult practice, they want to the easy practice. So that's the thing. So these three things, I think the reasons that the people cannot, achieve the enlightenment in this life. Yeah. Okay. Then I thought question. Yeah.
Hello, Rinpoche, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm wondering if you can explain a little bit more differences between gross consciousness and subtle consciousness. I'm wondering, are some of like the elements of like feeling, taste, touch, is some of the consciousness are more diluted? Are they gone? Why is it so much easier to attain enlightenment when you have subtle consciousness versus gross consciousness?
So, okay, now you are asking me about the difference between the subtle consciousness and the gross consciousness. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. That's a one question, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Subtle consciousness and the gross consciousness is that, gross consciousness is right now, when you are awake, we're having the gross consciousness. We can see the things. And we can feel the things. And this is a very gross consciousness. When the subtle consciousness arises, we cannot think too much. What I mean by we cannot think too much is that in the state of dream, when you dream that you are flying in the sky, you never ask yourself that how can I fly? You never ask yourself. I'm sure that you have dreamed that you are flying in the sky, or you may see the very awkward things in the dream, but you will never ask the question that how can I fly? How can that happen? Because the consciousness becomes the more subtle. When the consciousness becomes more subtle, that curiosity will be less. Right now, the gross consciousness, we are having the more curiosities are there, and the more the questions and the more doubts comes in the mind. So that's why the subtle consciousness, there are the few labels of the subtle consciousness. Okay, in the dream state, it is subtle consciousness, less curiosity, very clear, and the clear light consciousness is the one of the most subtle consciousness. That clear light consciousness is a very powerful consciousness. That clear light consciousness, it's the main purpose of the highest yoga tantra, is the activating the clear light consciousness. Through that clear light consciousness, realize the emptiness and achieve the Buddhahood. Now, simple way, if I come to the the bottom line, what is the actual way of the achieving the enlightenment or achieving the Buddhahood in the one lifetime? From the perspective of the highest yoga tantra, it's that generate the clear light consciousness and use that clear light consciousness to realize the emptiness, then achieve the Buddhahood. Okay, so that means the clear light consciousness. Okay, clear light consciousness, I will call it a CLC. Okay, clear light consciousness. Okay, CLC, clear light consciousness, CLC equals to Buddhahood. Okay, so that is the point. Now the clear light consciousness is a very strong and a very powerful. So very strong and a very powerful, that consciousness, when it realizes the emptiness, then you are like a riding in the rocket. Okay, you will reach from the one to the another place within the few minutes. Okay, otherwise from the perspective of highest yoga tantra perspective, whatever you practice through your gross consciousness, you are just riding like a horse. It may run, it may not reach your destination within the very short time frame. No, so when you have to reach the very short time frame, if you reach the very the far away, so what you have to do, you have to ride in the rocket. No, so that is like that clear light consciousness. So that's why the clear light consciousness, when you realize the clear light consciousness, when you can use the clear light consciousness to realize the emptiness, you will reach in the Buddhahood very fast. Through that clear light consciousness, to use the clear light consciousness, first what you have to do, you have to generate the clear light consciousness. To generate the clear light consciousness, what you have to do, you have to activate the channels. To activate the channel, to activate all the energy points. To activating the energy points and activating the channel, then the clear light consciousness arises. When the clear light consciousness arises, then you can use that clear light consciousness and to realize the emptiness, then you can achieve the Buddhahood in this lifetime. Okay, simple, no? CLC equals to Buddhahood. Okay, clear light consciousness equals to Buddhahood. That is the main, now it is one of the main, the point of the highest yoga tantra.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And today we'll stop here. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. You all have a good night. Okay, good night, and hope you hope you can practice the clear light consciousness in the state of dream. Okay, state of dream, they won't be the clear light consciousness, but in the state of dream, they will come the ones settled consciousness may appear. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.